Welcome everyone to Loud and Proud Orlando. It's Monday, April the 17th. Let me put Cesar Araujo out of the screen right now. Uh, 8:36 p.m. Thank you so much for being live with us. About 7 or 6 people live. Thank you so much for your support. Well, you know, the beacon of positivity. This show has arrived, right? Um, you know, a win or a loss, it is possible in this sport. And the good thing is that Orlando won, right? And I think we're all happy, right? Right? We should all be happy about this win. Massive win away by Orlando City. And now it brings us to the discussion of okay, you won. What's next, right? And so what's next is DC United and LA Galaxy, two teams that are not in the best shape. Uh, I think out of the two, I'll say DC United. It's in the best shape if you look at the standings, but you cannot, um, look down on them. You have to, I think, get 6 out of 6 out of these two games coming up. I think by getting 6 out of 6, there's going to be a monotone silence in the OCSC world. Monotone silence, you know. And I think it'll be great for the fans to see their team win, get two back-to-back wins at home. I think it's we need to cut that. We need to cut that bad streak, right, John? So we're gonna talk about what happened against Minnesota, right? Exciting stuff coming out of that. Also, unfortunately, the Pride lost 10 minutes on the death against you know in the NWSL. The season just started. Okay, Gotham had no chance, but they capitalized on the chances they created the last 10 minutes. And then OCB with their first L against Atlanta, right? But they've been killing it and playing exciting soccer, OCB. So we're definitely happy to also bring you some exciting news coming up in the next few days regarding what's coming up with the pod. So we're definitely, if you're listening to us, thank you so much. If you're watching, drop us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell for all notifications. Thank you so much for your support. And John, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to kind of run away with 3 points. It's always whenever we play Adrian and his teams, I'm always like, oh, is this gonna go well or bad? Like he's a smart tactical manager, and I think Oscar did a great job to go there and take 3 points away from a place that is very difficult to get 3 points at, right? Was the performance 100%? Was it a polished, perfect performance? I would say no. I think there's a lot that we could improve on for sure. But sometimes it's nice to take the 3 points even when you're not particularly playing well. And I think that's something that Orlando City doesn't do very often. There's teams that they talk about having that winning like sort of mentality. Like Man City have this where even when Man City's playing badly, they can go ahead and get that 3 points, right? And that's something that certain teams have in their locker. Like LAFC have that in their locker, right? Even when they're not on their on day, they've got enough about them where they can steal 3 points. And if that's something that Orlando City starts to develop as a weapon where we can get the win even when we're not playing well, I'd love to have that in our arsenal of things that we can do. So this was a surprise one where we kind of stole 3 points a little bit, and
No, massive.
yeah, and I think that the performance obviously had issues, and we can talk about that. But you got to celebrate a win. It's nice. I like it, and I'll take it. And our away form is great. We went to Philly, took 3 points. We went to Minnesota, took 3 points. Like we can turn that into home form, then we'll really be ticking, and we'll be starting to climb that table in no time.
I want to be a negative Nancy, John.
Okay, go.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say you. I'm the more negative one.
You're
Come on,
right, right,
you're
right.
always Mr. Sunshine
I
over here.
wanna,
I'm
I
the one
wanna,
with the
I
rain
wanna,
clouds.
I wanna, I wanna, I wanna be Negative. No, I'm just kidding. Tiro de Esquina podcast. I want to say hello to Paola and Alec that are probably in the plane enjoying their time away. Well deserved vacation. Missing the pod today, but listening from the plane. I will be back soon. Let's go. Vamos Orlando. 3 points. 3 points of Saturday. Paola, there you go. Paola. Hopefully everything went well with you guys. And I'm glad that you were able to enjoy that time. Um, so let's start. To me, and we were talking this off the record. We're about 13 people live. Drop us a thumbs up. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you to Orlando City Communications for the footage on and the pictures. So thank you so much for that. Let's look at the video. I mean, so first let's start before we put the video, the lineup, right? So this was the lineup that was on for the game. So in my opinion, the reason why Orlando City had such a good comeback and performance was because their wingers were on point. I think it was one of the best games for Gaston Gonzalez. And Ivan Angulo didn't really have a tough matchup like he maybe did against Nashville. I think Minnesota's defense had some gaps and couldn't contain him. And he felt very confident in that role, doing the whole back and forth on the wing. He felt comfortable. He felt also that Rodrigo, when he was going back, will kind of in a way help him out there, marking some of the players from Minnesota coming in transition. And I do want to say that that's I think one of the reasons why Orlando truly won. Those balls, Gonzalez throwing those balls to the to the edge of the box, and just trying for a striker to capitalize on them. So another thing was Torres and Ojeda playing with a lot of freedom up top, right? And Enrique being that false nine. What were your high points out of this game, John? This lineup.
I think you nailed it. I think the high points are Gonzalez and Angulo, right? This formation they're playing as the left and right wing back, and I think
Right.
that gets the maximum out of their skill set in the sense that they're like Gonzalez and Angulo are really like what I call true wingers in the sense that they just want to run up and down their wing. They want to be able to do everything on the attacking side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. And in this position, they're able to have all that space to do that. And you really saw both goals. They went, the Gonzalez played it all the way across to Angulo. And then the second one, Gonzalez is part of that goal as well, coming from the left-hand wing. So it gives them a great role to play, and it suits those two in particular, their skill set and what they're best at. And it creates a lot of overlap, right? It's kind of your defenders, your left back or your right back, the opposition is watching Torres and Ojeda and what they're doing and their movements, and then you've got overlapping them, Gonzalez and Angulo. So when it worked, when it actually started to function later in the game, and you saw that, that's where our goals came from. Those are the chances that created. So that's a huge advantage, a major plus of playing this formation and this way, which we hadn't seen since preseason, but I did like it in preseason. I think there are some minuses to this formation as well, and we can come back to what this, I think, defensively causes some issues for us a little bit when we play this way.
I also believe that the three center backs right out back, they probably weren't. I mean, I know that Schlegel was just kind of in a way trying to help out Angulo with some of the load, and maybe
Schlegel was
Jensen
playing that like left sided of the three.
right.
That's the thing on the screen.
Right,
like
yeah,
Antonio was playing the right of
yeah.
the three center backs, Jansen in the middle, and Schlegel on the left. And so Schlegel was helping Gonzalez, and Antonio Carlos is helping Angulo. Like that's with this formation, that's what you have to do. They're almost like wide center backs, and they have to go out wide and cover when your wing backs go high up the field. And I think that's where we saw we're getting exposed a lot by Minnesota was Adrian knows the weakness that this formation causes is that problem. There's a lot of space in behind those wing backs, and he they used that to their advantage and probably should have, created more chances out of that, like they did in the first half. That was the main way that they got in behind our wingbacks and caused problems.
Yeah, and then there was really not enough speed, in my opinion. If you're playing those three backs, you got to be a speedy back. Like
Like
you
you can see
gotta.
they're flat-footed.
I could see Antonio Carlos, and I'm saying with all due respect, I'm not trying to. He's a fantastic center back. I think the past 3 seasons, if it wasn't for injuries, he could have been top 5 in the MLS as a center back. But I believe that he's still kind of getting used to getting back into rhythm, and you're playing against the attack of Minnesota, which I'm going to say that's the reason why. If you look at that kid that we were saying that we saw that I did it, the tweet on Loud and Proud, their secret weapon, Young, right? And Lude and Hallwayne, those 3 guys like were a nightmare. I mean, they were fast, they were physical. Young was more of like a 10. Garcia literally was a false 9. But Long Wayne and Lude will cut through the middle, kind of like a point, like an arrow, the point of an arrow, just trying to attack. And who they get on our side, they will get Jensen and Schlegel, and that's how their goal came about. So tactically, if we're going to play this lineup, 2 things could happen. Either you're going to have a fantastic night of your win backs, like I think we did with Angulo and Gonzalez, and compensate that with opportunities and chances created and scored. And you're going to have some deficiencies out in the center back role. And I think if you keep practicing this system and, you just stick to the system, I think we could find some rhythm playing like this. But for the first try, getting a massive win away, I'll take it. I'll take the win. Another thing was,
hold on sorry, second. I was wondering, did we play this way against Cincinnati at home for that 0-0 loss? I was trying to think, did we actually play this already at this point in the season? Was it the 3 center backs and wing backs that day?
Let me double check.
That's the only time I think we used it, but I agree entirely with you that you need very athletic center backs to play this way, and I think that that's not really our strength in our squad. Also, I'd say depth-wise in center back, we have a real issue, So right now, Antonio is back, but what happens when Janssen goes down injured or Antonio goes injured again, knock on wood, and Schlegel? Then we don't have another really center back on that bench at the moment. You've got Salim, who's playing at OCB, that potentially could slot in, but then you're looking, maybe we're playing Kyle Smith as a center back, what we've seen before, which I don't really like to do. So I think that this formation, I agree, definitely, if we played it more, we could work out a lot of those errors that we were seeing. Like, you get used to it and the way it would work, and Angulo and Gonzalez would get better at covering back and helping out. But I also think that it relies on center backs that we don't really have. So I'm a little bit tentative to say that this is the way we should play going forward.
Yeah,
unless
and
in the summer we plan to.
We played something similar. We played something similar against Cincinnati, with just different players.
Was it something similar, right? It was a 5 at the back, kind of. Or
yeah, it was. It was.
Formation. It depends on how you look at it.
The 3 center backs were Salim, Schlegel, and Smith. And then it was Holiday and Gonzalez as your win backs. And then
so we have seen that he wants to use this. Like, this is a pattern now. Like, he used it in preseason. We've seen it in one game. So there's certain opposition that Oscar is deciding this is the way he wants to play. Whether he's going to play this way every week, I don't know. I suspect against DC we're going to go back to the 4-2-3-1. Would you disagree, Luis? Do you think that we're going to see this going forward, or what do you think is more likely against DC?
No, I mean, I think we can totally play against DC, this system, and I think we should stick to it. I think LA has maybe a little bit more of a better defense, in my opinion. Um, and I will consider them more of like a little threat because they're a Western team. But when it comes to DC, you can take those chances, and I think the boys won won that chance too, to show everyone what they can do and that they can play. I mean, it wasn't their best game away. I'll have to say, right? It wasn't the best away win, performance wise, but it was a win nonetheless. And the whole point out of this game called soccer is it doesn't matter how you play; it matters if you win. You could look beautiful playing the sport. I want to say hello to FC Barcelona, right? My team from Spain, right? They play gorgeous, freaking 1,000 passes a game, but for what? For them to touch the ball 1,000 times and then score once, or maybe like not even score, or maybe for the other team to just cut you off guard and score 3 on you. So it doesn't really that you have to play smart. So I think Pareja, I'm sure he has a list. I'm just assuming this. I'm not, but I'm looking at this. If I was right in his shoes, a list of the calendar, and just kind of knowing what system to play against what team, right? And throw a little curveball here and there. But then he has to have at least 2 systems that he plays consistently. And I think that consistency is going to make the players to gel better. And then eventually you're going to see automation between the players. They know what positions they're playing, and that's what's going to create more of a dynamic mid. I didn't see a dynamic mid against Minnesota, to be honest with you. I didn't see the
No, the
ball
other
run
thing
through
I
the mid at all.
say about this is I thought the nice thing when we started was this puts a little bit of space between Ojeda and Torres, like we talked about before, that they're often each other's way. And I was hoping that maybe in this formation we would see them kind of come alive and start to really get into the season, but it wasn't the case. And I think that kind of brings me on to this point that I want to talk about, and I saw a few people tweeting about, and I read that Matt Doyle put out, his usual armchair analyst, and I think he gets it 100% right. And I just want to read you guys his quote that Mauricio Pereira, Factu Torres, and Martin Ojeda all want the ball to feet, and who don't necessarily create a ton of space off the ball. So it's probably not surprising then that the equalizer came from a wingback, and then the winner came from Duncan McGuire, who did Duncan McGuire things, burying a loose ball in the box. McGuire does not need the ball to be effective. I think that's the real part there. So it's essentially that you've got players in Ojeda, Torres, who, as you said, they want the ball to feet, right? They're more like kind of pass it to me, I'll lay it off 1-2, make the move like that. They're not necessarily guys who are moving around in the box, attacking the ball. And I think that's exactly what happened when you made some subs and you saw things change. Duncan McGuire comes on, we're a bit more direct and a bit more aggressive. And that's what changes the style of play and gets you those 2 goals late in the game, when before we hadn't really been creating anything. And I think Ojeda coming off and then the game kind of changed was very telling that maybe he was not helping in this game. Maybe he was more of a hindrance in this game. But again, it's not just on him. Facu is not looking like the Facu from last season. And whether it's in this formation or another formation, those problems persist, right? So Oscar still has to figure out how to get those guys working together in a fluid attack that has some consistency. Like we want to see Ojeda in the same position doing similar things. We want to see Torres in a same position each week. Like who, if there's no 10, that's fine. Who's playing the left wing? Who's playing the right wing? I think there's a little bit too much freedom, and Oscar needs to give them a little bit more structure in that attack and trying to say, these are your roles, and sort of take a little bit of that freedom away. Because right now, I think they're just doing whatever they want, which is great, but they're all doing the same thing. So
so
you're not seeing any variation.
Yeah, so here, if you're listening, we're playing the B-roll. Thank you to Orlando City Communications, and we're kind of seeing the pattern here. Gonzalez throws that ball, looking for the striker to just pretty much, try to get to it and score. Puts it through Boxall's legs. Now, Boxall, to me, I'm just completely honest. I've seen him in his national team duties. He's not scared of me. I mean, he's a center back should not eat this type of ball. So that's just my opinion, right? And then, like you were saying, John, off the record, everyone sees that ball go through. He just expected someone to be there, right? And so that's where you see Enrique, right? Enrique should be R9, right? And he's just running
I mean,
behind the ball,
he's 3 yards behind where he should be. Let's be
right?
honest. He's not where he should be there,
Yeah.
and neither is Torres or Ojeda. Really, like all three of them should. One of them needs to attack that ball, and
Mhm.
it's almost lucky that it goes to Angulo.
And then it goes to Angulo, and then Angulo that just has a magical, like a shot. It was just perfection. It's like just puts it in, and he scores. Now, if we would have had Duncan there, he's going to try to fight for those balls that go across the box, right?
That's like how he scored every goal for us. It's just him being in the box and essentially just attacking the ball, right? Like he's so he's like a dog with a bone. Like that's how I describe it. And like whatever happens, that ball comes in the box, he's gonna somehow get himself in the right position to get it in the back of the net. And
Yeah, another
I
thing,
don't see that in Enrique. It's a different kind of striker, right?
maybe you have to evaluate. I mean, again, I'm not trying to downplay DC, but DC is a game that Orlando has to win. I mean, it's a team that it's really not doing so great, and they have some good players, but they don't have the roster Orlando has. So, with that being said, if Facundo's not working right now, in that position where he's in right now, put him as a striker. He's played that role in you're playing the false nine. He's a dynamic player. He can play with both feet. Try to maybe see if that will work for him here and there. Maybe but I think Orlando needs not to they need consistency. So whoever is playing the best needs to be in the starting lineup. Here's like the whole point of who's who's this and that. It's over. No, there's no more experimenting anymore. I think Oscar, if this is working for him and he wants to try it out again against DC, that's fine. But not this system will work for every single team in the MLS, right? It's not a classic formation. A 4-4-2, you see it all the time. A 4-2-3-1, you see it all the time. A 4-3-3, you see it all the time. But this type of formation, it does work with certain teams, not with everyone, not every single one of them. So, and so let's keep watching the video here. So that's the score. Great assist by Gaston Gonzalez.
I think this was the best game we've seen from him. Like he showed what he could do up that left-hand side.
Yeah.
More time than we've seen him in any game, and I think that he was in some ways more effective than Angulo in periods of the game.
Now look at that ball from Facundo Torres right here. And then Angulo again with the chip, goes in the crossbar, and then the Haaland of the Heartland. Huh?
I mean,
look at that.
What a power header! Look at that stance. Yeah. I mean, he gets.
Yeah.
And look, there's 1, 2, 3,
yeah,
4.
There's like the whole defense is like
it's a little bit of luck that the ball bounces right up in front of him. But the fact is that he's there, right? He hasn't given up on the play.
Right, he doesn't give up on the play.
No, and that's the thing. Like he never gives up, and that's why he's getting these goals. Like he's a scrappy forward who's determined, and that's what's ending up in situations like this where he's able to score goals. I think you were saying about consistency and who needs to play. I think Maguire is fully put his hat in the ring to say,
For sure.
you kind of have to start me now. Like I'm the guy. If we're talking about who play your best players, play who's in form, you can't argue then that Maguire shouldn't be starting the game.
Try why don't they try two strikers too?
I thought about that. I in a weird way, like a Maguire and Ojeda or Maguire and Torres, like two up front could be really exciting. I think we have a lot of options if you did two strikers. But again, you want to try and find that striker partnership that complements each other, and then you play those two. That's the way you work with a striker team, as it were, right? So who are those two? You'd have to figure that out and see where chemistry works as two strikers up front. I don't think it's an Oscar thing to do. I would love to see it, but I don't think he would ever go 4-4-2. I think that's too attacking for him. I think that goes against his core fundamental principles, right?
But what if Ramiro and Duncan work? I mean,
there's the classic big man, little man, so that would be that.
There are squads you experiment a little bit with, right? And I think our experimenting time is going to start with Leagues Cup and U.S. Open, right? I think it'll be great to start seeing two strikers up top. Let's see how that works for us. Maybe Facundo and Duncan. So either way, just the stance and the way he just was effective, right? I think that's what everyone is praising Duncan Maguire. Everybody's saying that Orlando City runs on Duncan, right? So, but phenomenal win. Everybody's saying some people online, unexpected win, dude. Like, this is a fantastic win, and the morale of the team was an all-time high. I want to give a shout out to Rodrigo Schlegel. He just got his little baby girl was born, and this was a fantastic W to celebrate the birth of a new Lion fan, and a new Orlando City fan,
a baby lion,
and then also I want to say, and going back to the lineup, what a game by Pedro Gallese, right? I mean, if it wasn't for Pedro Gallese, I think we definitely would have gotten that W, that L, that fat L.
Yeah,
and then everybody would have. Yeah. then another subject would have started rising.
Yeah,
oh my God,
that's it, right? It's a win, but in some ways we didn't really deserve the win. And Pedro, doing Pedro things is part of the reason that we steal 3 points here. Partly it's the subs coming on and changing the game, but it's also Pedro keeping us in the game up to that point.
Yeah, so Gallese to me is having the time of his life here in Orlando. The pink kit now, the front office decided that the pink kit is, you could buy your pink kit now. I just think a phenomenal performance by Gallese. He saved us right in the beginning, the end of the first half and the end of the second half, right? He played with heart, man. I mean, and you're talking about another man of the match, aside of Duncan Maguire, who scored the winning goal. Pedro Gallese by far. There's a lot of rumors, and I'm going to say this because these are garbage rumors. I'm going to say this against my Peruvian colleagues. There's rumors saying that a Spanish team may seek the services of Pedro Gallese. It's a low bottom team. There's no way he's going to leave, guys.
What Spanish team is this?
Celta de Vigo.
I mean, were they in? I don't even know where they are now.
I'd rather play Nottingham Forest, dude.
Are they in PBVA or are they in the?
Yeah, no, they're like low tier, like
okay.
Like
they're playing the first. That he really likes it here. Like, he's just happy.
Yeah, no, his whole family. He
doesn't want to move. So
no, he doesn't want to move.
Unless they're throwing crazy money at him, that's like he can't say no to. I don't see him going anywhere. He's at the goalkeepers. He can just stay here till he's 40, right? So why would he go anywhere? He doesn't need to.
and
he's
I
you know
think
he's happy here.
yeah, he's happy here. He's the staple of the team right now, and it look every weekend, every game we see him doing crazy saves, right? And in this game, he was a huge part of why Orlando also that he was a cornerstone of the defense. You take him out, and I mean, yeah, you got Mason, and then you got Adam, but I mean, Pedro is right there, the ring general, right? He's right there to command the back line, and I think in the 41st minute, that shot from Jong was crazy. And then in the 85th minute for the Argentine, what's his name? Fragapane.
Fragipane.
I don't know. Well, anyways, I mean that was outstanding. Now, um,
You want to talk about DC
yep. Let's talk about
and
DC.
look to the future?
Yeah, I mean DC comes from beating Montreal, right? Uh, come from beating Montreal and 1-0, right? And I believe that they do have a. I mean, we're going to be playing at home, hopefully with a huge crowd. And what a win it would be for to beat them at home, right? And break that cycle of nonsense and negative Nancy's and and everyone saying that Orlando's going to lose at home and why am I here? You
Well, I
know,
think it's we've done away win home loss, away win home
yeah,
loss. So let's break the cycle. Oh wait, other way around. So we just had a away win. Let's get a home win to break these stupid home losses that seem to be happening. We want this trend just to end, and this is the
yeah,
game to end. Like we thought the Charlotte game was to end it. Now this really is the game to end it. So we need 3 points. I think Oscar also just needs to hear the crowd cheer at the end of the game at home, because he's getting these road wins and doing really well, but the team is not getting the praise because they're away when they win, right?
yeah,
There are some supporters in every game, which is always cool to see Orlando City fans at away games around the U.S., but we need them to get the win at home so we can do a big crowd and a chant, and we can do the
yeah.
Viking
Plus, he
clap and everything. So we need a bit of positivity at home. And this is, like you said, this is
cherry on the cake.
yeah, like we should have got the win away, and that kind of
Exactly.
got robbed a little bit from us by that fluky great goal, but in a lot of ways fluky goal that Doug Durkin scored last time. To make it 1-1. So I still feel like we're not done. Like you said, there's that history between us and DC and Wayne Rooney, and it's almost like I want to just put that to an end and like let's win this game and then say this thing with DC is no more. We put it to bed. Put 3 points and say that from now on we're just gonna beat DC. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, Ruan is gonna come back into Orlando, right? Visit. It's a familiar face. He's been starting the past few games for DC. He's not been, he's been coming off minute 70, minute 65. Um, really not making that much of a noise, of an impact, of importance as he was with Orlando City when he was in the team. But nonetheless, he knows how this Orlando City plays. He knows Oscar. He knows the systems that he plays, what he likes to do. So that's one thing that I'm sure the coach Rooney is gonna talk to him about. Hey, what are they gonna do next? Or like, hey, give me some nuggets, man. Then but I think the key here is going to be the good these two midfielders, Klitsch and O'Brien. They're playing phenomenal. They're playing really good. And Christian Benteke, right? You don't want to leave those scramble in the box balls, those rebounds. He's going to take
Well,
advantage of
I
those.
think this is where Rooney is showing his, knowledge of English football, right? Like he's gone found Lewis O'Brien was a guy who I don't know if you saw, but last in the summer, Nottingham Forest got promoted and they signed
Mm-hmm.
be registered because they had so many players. They couldn't even register him to play. So he was left, essentially not being able to play, but still being under contract for Nottingham Forest. DC's come along, Rooney's seen that, scooped him up. Same thing with Klitsch. He was out of contract, I believe, for Leeds. I think he was a Leeds player, scooped him up. So these are two guys that were just Premier League players not long ago. Low-end Premier League players, but still Premier League players. Christian Benteke, very recently was a Premier League player. So you've got some real quality in this team for sure. Whether they're performing that great, before they beat Montreal 1-0, by the way, Montreal are not good this year at all. So take that with a grain of salt. Up until, before that, they lost to DC, they drew to Chicago. They lost to Columbus, they drew to Chicago, they lost to New England, they lost to New York, right? So they're not really having a great season. And I think that they have a defensive backline that's got some real problems, and we need to exploit that. I think the midfield is an issue. They do have some good midfielders, like we just said, but that back line, we should be able to really cause them problems with the attacking players, and especially if we play this 3 center back, 2 wing backs formation. I think that's going to cause them real issues if they're playing 4-4-2, because we're just going to overlap them.
Yeah, and another thing is to stop O'Brien and Knuth to link up, and obviously leaving, be very like those lags we were having in Minnesota with fast-paced attackers. Those 3 in the middle for Minnesota, that should not occur against DC at home, because Benteke will take advantage of those balls. I mean, he's an experienced striker. Funtas has scored on us already in several occasions we face DC. So those we have to treat this as an away game, right? Believe it or not, we have to treat this as an away.
Maybe that's the way we win. Maybe we just, all games are away games now.
Right.
And we win, right?
And I do want to say, it is important for us to take a W out of these 2 games, because what I'm seeing is Orlando winning, and you still get people saying, we got lucky, we got the win. Everybody loves the coach still after playing like crap. Who the hell are you? Like I'm just saying, like it's crazy. Like, to me, it makes it seem like, like, who said it first? Does it really matter? What I'm saying is, we won. Like, that's the whole point of the sport. It's a win or lose sport. So, and I do believe that the frustration should go away, at least for a while, after 2 back-to-back wins. And then Orlando City will be either 4th or 5th if everything goes our way. So,
I think this is like 2 crucial games. I think if Oscar loses these 2 home games, then it's a real problem for him, and I think it's just only going to add to the issues of people being upset and frustrated, for sure. But if he wins both games, then a lot of those people are going to, their arguments are going to get weaker, and they're not going to be able to say, I really want to get rid of it, because so far in the season, we haven't been doing incredibly well, but we haven't been doing really badly either. So this next sort of month or so is a big, important time to see, do we swing up or do we swing down? And these 2 games are crucial to that, right? 2 home wins would be great momentum, and then you're going into your next games 3 wins on the bounce with a lot of confidence. But I also think that part of these home wins needs to be getting, the good performances. Like, we don't want to see ugly home wins. Like, we want to see some nice, attractive soccer. We want to see the best out of Ojeda. We want to see the best out of Torres, right? Like, it's not just about winning at home for Oscar. There are other things that fans want to see, and I can understand that. Like, I see that sometimes watching us as Oscar's tactics are not the most exciting tactics, and we've watched that style of play for a long time. And I think that's where people are sometimes frustrated with him and his choices. But I also think that, he can, he can change, right? Like he needs to adapt his tactics to maybe make things a bit more exciting and maybe a bit more attacking. And he has talked about that. But we kind of need to see it in fruition, right? I think we need to see us be more aggressive. And like the opening of the Charlotte game, for example, that first 10 minutes, if we could play 90 minutes like we played that first 10 minutes against Charlotte, where we were just attacking them 100%, it was, I think we had like 5 chances in that first 10 minutes. Then we're looking like a really aggressive, really attacking team. And I think Oscar has it in him to change. He just needs to make it happen on the field. And we need less of these, home losses where we just don't look that great.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest with you, I just want to win. So to me, I mean, I understand the whole fact of exciting soccer and the whole thing. Right, that's great, and that's going to happen eventually. I believe that Oscar wants to play exciting soccer. Same with the players, but you're playing in a league that it's growing every year, every month. There's new players coming and new kids that are phenoms developing in academies, and there's always fresh faces and the intensity of the game. Every single player that comes from abroad tells you, I did not think the intensity was going to be this big. They get surprised. And a lot of people in South America don't realize how intense and how physical the MLS is compared to down south. And I mean, you're talking about players like Gaston Gonzalez that was flying in Argentina. Now the team that he left, it's in the bottom of the league, about to be relegated. Imagine. So it's crazy. So it's just also the scheduling of what Orlando gets, and also how you manage to win. To me, I just think the praises will start for Oscar, right, when he starts developing those home wins, and I think we're gonna see that hopefully. Right now, Fabian, Coach Fabian, his assistant coach, he put this on Twitter, right, and it's a chart of some of the he's one of the pretty much saying he's one of the top MLS coaches, right, with the highest percentage of wins, right, 45.18%, 197 games won, 436 games played. He was an MLS Coach of the Year in 2016. 58% of his games are wins.
I mean, I think that win percentage is the most important thing, right? Like
Yeah.
if you look at it, because and it shows you he's on par pretty much with Jim Curtin and Greg Vanney and
Caleb
Peter
Porter.
Vermees. Like Caleb Porter. Like these are guys that you would say, okay, these are top level MLS coaches. So I think Oscar has proven that. I think he's been around in the league a long time. He knows the league. He's never managed to win an MLS Cup. Maybe that's sort of the thing that's against him here. But he has won a Supporter Shield. And if you're asking a South American, right, what's more important, that you win on points or you win the playoffs? They would say it's just straight up a league. So in some ways, you could say that's actually a win for him. I think overall, it shows that he's up there, right? He's not as far off the pace that some people maybe describe him as being a bad MLS coach. I don't think you can say he's a bad MLS coach. I think he is, maybe some people say they don't agree with his play style, like we were talking about. That's a different thing from saying that he's a bad MLS coach. I think right here you can see in percentage of wins and just the amount that he's achieved that arguably he is one of the better coaches in the league. Like that's not really up for debate.
And tell Oscar Pareja, in my opinion, I believe Oscar Pareja, and I said this in my other podcast. I said, take him to South America. He would thrive there. And a lot of people downplay that because, the MLS, Mickey Mouse and Zlatan came when he was old, and and blah blah blah. Old players go to die there. No, but it's different now. I mean, I think Oscar has he's a defensive-minded coach. There have been coaches like maybe Oscar. I will say an example: Cruz Azul from Mexico, close to home, close to the United States. They have Juan Reynoso, Peruvian guy. Give him a chance, starting as an assistant coach. I mean, he has a defensive style. He prioritizes defense. He doesn't play with a 10. Reynoso does not play with a number 10. And now uh, Peruvians don't like the way he plays, but he's now the national team coach of Peru because of the winning record he has in Mexico. And now he's trying to bring, Peru has this fancy passing style soccer that he pretty much is saying, I'm not going to play with a 10. And it's killing that style. Peru's playing through the wings like that, and pressing high, pressing on defense. And some people are turned off by that. But if they're getting the results and they're playing good games against the big boys, I'm calling the big boys Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, I will say, on that level. I mean, why not, right? Same with Oscar. The whole thing here is consistency, like you said, John. Consistency. Find your two systems to stick with. Put the players that. So right now, for example, a great question by Joshua Tall. Will Mikey Holiday will be able to play? Mikey Holiday, we have not seen them, right? He could have had great, probably games in the past, and also probably some good practices. He should probably not start. I think we should keep Gonzalez and Angulo on the wings, and then ease him back into the starting lineup. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I was wondering whether we went to this 3 with the 5 because we didn't have a right back. But did the fact that Mikey was out, and then he said maybe he didn't want to play Kyle Smith as a right back, and he said, okay, therefore I'm going to play 3 center backs and 2 wing backs and have Angulo as my right wing back. Now, I don't know if Mikey's going to be back for this game. I know he got injured at the U20s for USA, right? So we haven't heard whether he's going to be back for this game or not. If he is back for this game, do you, like you said, does that change and then you go back to the 4 at the back and you're playing Mikey as your right back like we were before? Or do you say, like you said, Luis, like, look, we don't necessarily need to bring him back into the squad and we're going to play these wing backs again and do the same as last game? I think it depends on whether Oscar with his 2 systems, like whether he wants to line up with the 3 or the 4 center backs. I think DC will play the 4-2-3-1.
Yep.
So maybe he wants to just line up Max and man for man. I don't know.
You wanna do the lineup?
I think you're right that he's choosing between the 2. Yeah, let's do it. I think let's give it a try. Who knows with Oscar, right? It's always I think for sure there's some guys
I think he should stick.
Like to see in the team whether we play what formation. I think there's some guys who deserve a start.
Look, this DC doesn't scare me at all. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to be. I don't want to say that we're a better team. I'm not downplaying DC at all, but it's just not a contender. In my opinion, he's not a contender for the title or for going to playoffs. In my opinion, right? Just like Inter Miami, right? So those games we got to put away. So those are the games that we have to put away. All right. And so let's go ahead and do the lineup. Obviously, we know this. El Pulpo, Pedro Galese, right? Without him, I don't know what we would do. Your center back duo, I would like to see AC again. I don't know about you. AC?
Yeah, AC and Janssen. If we're going with which I think he will do 4-2-3-1.
AC and
I think it'll be AC and Janssen. AC, he looked like he's ready to go again. We did talk about him, getting called out a few times, but that ball he played to Gonzalez from pretty much from the right back position all the way over to the left wing was just that we've missed that from the back line. Like Janssen can do it a little bit, but not the way that Antonio can. And then I'd be interesting to see whether he goes back to Petrasso or if we're playing this formation or whether he trusts Gonzalez to play a full left back role. I don't know. It's
I'll say AC Jensen and Rodrigo. I would say keep that lineup. That's just my
you
opinion. I
want to.
mean,
I think we can line
I,
it up that way.
I
I
want to
mean,
go.
we got a result with it, so why not?
Yeah, so we could go. I mean,
So it's
Schlegel.
yeah, Schlegel's in there as well. And then, I think you're right. If you're going to go with this, it's Angulo and Gonzalez
Yeah,
back in. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. I think, like I said, that makes the best use of their skill set and their role. Like it really allows them to completely own their wing and run up and down and have all that space. With the three center backs, it's Janssen in the middle, and Schlegel was playing like the left side of the three, which I think because he is more athletic, being a bit faster than Janssen. That's why Janssen was in the middle, even though he's the left-footed center back, just because he's able to cover in behind Gonzalez a little bit better than Janssen.
here is where I would make a change. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I would say Mauricio. I want you with DC. I want you with LA. Maybe I'll put you some minutes in the second half, but I think I would like to see in this game because again, we're not playing like Portland. We're not playing Cincinnati. We're not playing New York. We're not playing Philly. We're playing DC. Dagger Dan.
I mean, I think he had a great game. I
Yeah.
think he came in and immediately he does something different in midfield from what Mauricio brings you, right? Mauricio is going to sit deeper and play the ball around. He doesn't move around as much. Dagger Dan's much more athletic. He runs with the ball. And I think that's, that second goal, you saw him doing that, opening up space, running at the back line. I think he was unlucky when he had that start and it didn't really work out for him. And then he hasn't been able to get back in. I think he deserves a start. I also think that Mauricio he does like a good, like one or two really good passes a game, but there's also a lot that he doesn't do. I think, especially defensively, he's not. We put him further back, and I don't see him really doing anything defensively.
Yep.
And that as much as I think that's okay if you're further up the field, but in that position, it's a bit of a luxury we can't really afford. I know that he is the creative outlet and a lot of the things run through him, but I think that's also a hindrance because those games where he's not performing, then we're not performing. Like he didn't really do anything in the first half of this game.
Yeah.
It wasn't Mauricio this season is not the Mauricio of other seasons. I have not seen the same level from him. I think there's been some great passes every now and then, sure, but that's not enough for me to be the guy who's the creator on the field. So I say give Dagger Dan a shot.
Me too. I'm completely on board with that. I am 110% with that. I think Dagger Dan should start. That's just my opinion. I think it is your opinion as well. If you are not playing with a 10, your wings need to be dynamic players. And what Orlando City paid for these players is for them to be dynamic, change of pace players. And you got them. And you're playing against a rival that is not as good as you on paper, right? So Ojeda and Facu, I think I would like to see them again, right? Doing that, what Minnesota was doing with Lude and the other guy, Holthwain, or I don't even know how to pronounce his name.
The South African player.
Right. The South African player. They were doing the arrow point. Mm-hmm. Meaning is, why is arrow point? And we have, if you're listening, the arrow point is my striker retreats to be like a false nine, and my wingers become my strikers. That's an arrow point. It looks kind of like a pointing like an arrow in a way. So I think that could be a good thing to see. And then if they're going to be filtering and passing through balls through the box, who better, in my opinion, I don't know about you, I think he deserves it. Duncan McGuire as a striker against DC.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we said, he's made an argument that I don't think you can ignore anymore. I think Oscar as well is he's not someone who we always say he doesn't really have. He's not a strikers guy. Like he doesn't expect his strikers to score 20 goals. Like he's expecting the goals to come from other places often in his systems. But Duncan is the kind of guy that I think actually suits Oscar's play style because of his, he's like a pressing forward he's very aggressive. He's on the front foot. He's physical. He's willing to go and hustle at the front of the field and press, kind of similar to what Tesho would do for Oscar. And Oscar, as you see, why he liked Tesho, Duncan could do a similar role for him. So I think the other thing with these wing backs is they're putting balls in, but there's no reason that those shouldn't be headed goals, right? So Gonzalez has got a great left foot putting those crosses in. Same with Angulo, just like we we're talking about. If Duncan McGuire is there, why can't he be jumping for a header? Why can't he be getting in behind, hustling a guy to steal the ball off him and score in the back of the net? I think his attributes as a striker are more suited to this system. And I think he's also can do the stuff you were talking about as a false nine. Like he is able to bring in.
Yeah.
In fact, like he has that.
And he has hustle.
Yeah,
he has hustle.
Ball to feet. Yeah. So I don't think you lose anything that Enrique was doing by taking him out of the field that McGuire can't do, right? But then McGuire adds in a bunch of other, just by the variation of the type of striker he is, he's adding in more opportunities to score in different ways that Enrique just wasn't really able to do.
Yeah, and I think it's all about partnerships and link-ups, right? So I think they should, and if they're listening, because apparently sometimes they do, try this system in the practice, guys, and try to find link ups. And I mean, in the process of the game being played and how the stamina and the dynamic and the fast paced, the minutes that go by, the game, the tension, you're gonna find link ups. And I think Ojeda and Angulo, you may see him link up, or even we'll see that Ojeda Facu link up that everybody's talking about. Like, why can't we see that, right?
I also think that even if it's the 4-2-3-1 formation, I still think Dagerdan and McGuire should be in that starting 11, right? Like it's the way they changed the game doesn't really matter in the system. What they bring is something different, and we saw that with them coming on and changing the game.
Yeah, definitely. So the starting 11 that we pick for next game against DC is as follows. Galese as your goalkeeper. You have 3 center backs, Schlegel, AC, Jansen. You got 2 wing backs. You got Ivan Angulo on the right and Gaston Gonzalez on the left. You got your 6, which will be Cesar Araujo. Your 8, which will be Dagerdan. No Mauricio Pereira for this game. So who's going to create? Put it in the feet of the people that know the best with the ball, or they get the most bang for their the people that we pay their salaries. Right? Well, the club pays their salaries, right? The star-studded players, Ojeda and Facu, they'll be your wings. Ojeda on the right, Facu on the left, and then right up top as your 9, or false 9 when they go in transition, Duncan McGuire. Right? I think that should be the lineup. I'm happy with this lineup.
I was wondering, do we think maybe taking Mauricio out there allows Ojeda and Facu to be more of that creator on the field? Is that, like as we're talking about with what Matt Doyle was saying, where they all want the ball to the feet, right? Is it that there's too many of the guys on the field doing the same thing? So maybe take one of those out, and then that opens it up for things to revolve around Facu or Ojeda more than they would when Mauricio's there, and he's kind of that linchpin creative attacker.
Right, and then you can, in the second half or minute 75, let's say Orlando is up 2-0 first half. Then minute 65, minute 68, you take out Dagerdan, you put Mauricio, you can maybe even put Cartagena for Araujo, and then you can, whoever's tired, Ojeda or Facu, okay, subbed out, You put Ramiro Enrique right there. He can play that position, right? So the good thing about Orlando City is that they got options, right? Now they got options to make this work. They just need consistency, and these two home games are vital, vital, vital. If we get zero, knock on wood, zero out of these two upcoming games, it'll be disaster. It'll be That's when the seventh sounding trumpet is going to start sounding from the sky. You're going to start seeing thunder and lightning, and you're going to start seeing the cow from Twister coming through, right? So I'm saying that with all due respect. I feel like these are two attainable wins for Orlando coming up at home. And so let's read some comments. Uh, Gold GoldTube TV missed the game, but I was able to watch the highlights. Galesa 1,000%. He says, "What's the deal with Maguire? I heard both positive and negative opinions about his performance." I heard more positive, man.
I was gonna say I don't know what negative anyone has to say about Duncan
No?
McGuire. I mean, not in this last game, right? I mean, guy came on and scored the winner, so there's no minuses for him.
Right.
I don't really think I don't think he's done anything wrong. I think he's done very well with the few opportunities he has, and he looks like our best striker at the moment. Like he's our most informed striker. So
And another thing I want to say is, like, the fans need to support. I mean, and I understand, and I know this is a broken record, but it's true. I mean, we just come from a massive win away against Minnesota, a team that probably had the firepower to beat us. Okay, let's be completely honest. And you could still hear people not being happy with the win, and it's sad. And so, don't you think these players read this? Don't you think maybe their family members are reading this and telling them? So when they go play at home, now you're gonna even put even more pressure. Just because you're a season pass holder, you gotta put even more pressure on these guys to, like, play as if it was a final. I understand that that's the way it should be sometimes, but we gotta be happy for the wins and upset for the losses sometimes. But we also have to know what we say sometimes, right? We got to be a little bit more mindful, because there's some people that just, I feel like they're talking basketball or other sport. It just doesn't make any sense. But I think those are, to me, I think we could do 6 out of 6 out of this upcoming 2 games, hopefully. Now, let's do some. I have some info here regarding the game too. Where is right here? Duncan Maguire, his second goal of his professional career. You have Gaston Gonzalez, his first assist in club history. Then you have Orlando City is the first team in the MLS to name 10 South American players in a starting lineup. Now, this has sparked a lot of...
It had to be us, right? I mean, surely, like,
right?
If someone else had taken that accolade, I'd be like, wait a minute, we've got a lot of South Americans. That should be our award to have, I guess. If it's an award, I don't really know how to feel about that. I think it just says what we already know. We have a lot of South Americans.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of, some people are like, oh, some people are like, oh, but why so many South Americans? We should promote more, American players. And we do.
I do think it's a shame we don't have any, like, USA stars. Like, Mikey Halliday is the only starter 11, like, who I would consider a starting player who's an American. So I think there is a little bit of a disappointment we don't have more. I mean, homegrown talent is different from USA talent. Like, those are two different things. We have homegrown players who aren't necessarily American, but they are homegrown. And I think all the South Americans it's just what we have South American GMs, and we have had South American owners in the past, and we have a South American coach. So we have a lot of South American contacts and scouts. So we filled our squad with people from South America. So the fact that we have 10 of them in the lineup I don't think it's particularly surprising.
So some people are saying, how they feel disheartened by Orlando City. That if they want to see a South American team, I'll watch Brazil Serie A or the Argentine Primera División. Um, that Pareja doesn't respect American talent. I think that's just a little far fetched. I would say if he would not respect American talent, then what did he do at FC Dallas? What did he do at the Orlando City Academy? It just doesn't make
Yeah, I
any
mean,
freaking sense.
I think that's the
That's
counter argument, right?
yeah.
It is, and that's what you don't
No,
realize with a lot of these guys. Like a lot of them, they're South Americans, but some of them now have U.S. citizenship, right?
exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, they are expats like me. Like I'm originally British. You can't tell because I'm American now, my accent, and I'm an American citizen. But I'm also British. So some of these guys are now what you call naturalized citizens. So they are Americans as well.
And then then they make the point about how Benji's thriving in Portugal and how Kamal Miller, Richie Larea, and they're in different teams. They were never given an opportunity, and I do agree with that part. In a way, Kamal Miller should have never left, and I think me and you agree on that, John.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I tweeted about that I was like, these guys we should never. And it's like I understand trades and everything happens, and you get deals that are done. Like the Getcherin, I can never say his name. The guy who got, and then he went to St. Louis. That probably it sounds.
Joaquini,
Yeah, Joaquini. It sounds like that was pretty much lined up for him always to leave, but.
yeah,
I think particularly Orea and Miller are just two that I see them doing so well in the league, and
yeah,
it kind of kills me that I knew that they were our players. And I think like this formation we talked about, like Kamal Miller is like, oh, he plays at three at the back. This would be perfect. We could throw Kamal Miller into this three at the back formation. He'd be, instead of Schlegel, he'd be a massive improvement in that position. And Richie Larea is just such a talented player as well. And seeing those guys do so well, it just kind of it bums me out that I'm like, oh, I wish we could have made it work where they stayed here and we're still playing for us, and and then we could be proud that they were guys who came through our academy, right?
Now Oscar has nothing to do with those players not being in this team anymore. Now the Kamal Miller situation was just more of like a trade.
By the way, that trade is insane.
It's insane.
And Miami somehow, like, whoever is in Montreal, take a look at yourself because you just gave away one of your best center backs.
Yeah, one of the best center backs
in the league. Probably he's up there as a really top center back, and you gave him away for $1 million to Miami. Like, and now he's going to come, and I hope he doesn't come and like score against us. Like, that would be really upsetting. Him in a Miami shirt scoring against us in Orlando. How upsetting would that be?
But what happened with Richie Larea was crazy because, from my understanding, is that the former coach. So this is before Oscar. They didn't want him in the team. Said that he didn't have enough talent to play MLS level. Like, you got to be some sort of.
They didn't know what to do with him, right?
Right.
He's a right back who's small, and then like he was kind of a right winger for us, but then they turned him into a right back at Toronto, and then that kind of changed things. I think sometimes managers don't know what to do with the player, and like they don't know like how to put them into their system, so then they get rid of them. But then in hindsight, what happens is that another manager comes along and you're like, actually, I could have used that player. He would have been perfect for me. So sometimes things are made because currently it doesn't suit, but that doesn't mean in the future they couldn't then be a bigger part of the squad, right?
No, I do want to say that we're going to see the depth of what Orlando City is all about. Leagues Cup and Open Cup. Why? Because we're going to see the fruits of our labor, the fruits of Orlando City's labor, the fruits of Oscar Parejas and his staff's, Javier Carrillo, all those guys' labor. The academy. Yes, my friends, the academy. You're going to have, players like, Fabian Loyola. You're going to have players like Juninho. Maybe Juninho and Araujo mesh. Maybe that, maybe that's the missing piece of the puzzle. We're going to start seeing depth. Now, Orlando, it's making huge strides youth-wise. So now you also don't want to. I think Orlando got these players to obviously contend for a championship, right? So So I believe that their process is bring these kids from OCB, put him in the Leagues Cup, put him in Open Cup, mesh him with the first team, see how that plays out, and then next season we are going to start seeing maybe some of these faces in the first team. To me, there's players that like Freeman, for example, beast, right? Alex Freeman, beast. You have Thomas Williams. You have Wilfredo Rivera, which is in the bench, but still a great player. Puerto Rican national team. You have Fabian Loyola. There's a lot of dynamic players.
Right before the pod, I saw that Reed Brown and Granados from
Granados are
OCB just got called up to the U18s for USA. So there's
There you
another
go.
example.
And so Orlando has a top academy, man. Orlando has a top academy in the nation. This is something that we should be proud of, and that's why I'm saying, guys, we need to really like listen to what the hell we're saying sometimes. Like listen to yourself. Like, what am I saying? Like, am I really like? Am I just mad? There's a lot of positive happening in the club, not just when it comes to culture, the growth of the club, the reachability when it comes to homegrown players. And the whole point of having your own homegrown academy is to these players to go to other teams too, and to sell them and create profit for the club. Like, you know what I mean? It's not just for us to have a whole squad of homegrown players. You have to have some people from a different country or some other pieces added in, right? So I'm happy with how the club is going when it comes to the direction it's going when it comes to the player situation. I don't know what do you think about that, John? Before we close.
Yeah, I mean, I think OCB is the example of that, right? So I kind of jinxed them because I started talking about how well they're doing, and then of course, last night they lost 3-1 to Atlanta United too. But it wasn't a great game for them last night. They didn't look like the OCB from the other 2-3 games that we'd seen. So, but also Atlanta United had some guy called Firmino who came on who played as if he was the actual Firmino for Liverpool and just cut OCB open and scored 2 goals in the zone. We almost got back into the game, but we weren't able to. So, but overall, their season is doing really well, and we're getting all these call ups. I think that a lot of people talk about, what we talked about, what happened in the GA Cup with all the youth academy kids doing so well there. I think the future is, Brighton. The future is purple, as we would say here in Orlando. So I'm happy about the way things are going. I think, sure, you can look at this season and say we're not maybe where we would like to be. I think we got a lot of preseason hype. I got preseason hype. I'll admit that. I was like, oh yeah, look at all these players. We're gonna do it so well this year. But I think that maybe we haven't quite hit the level we want to. But I don't necessarily think we're having a bad season. I think it's been an okay start, and we can improve on it from here.
Yep, and let's read some more comments. It says, Facebook user, thank you. Saludos, gente, desde Argentina. Aguante Orlando City. It says, hello from Argentina. Let's go Orlando City. All right, thank you so much, Facebook user.
It's probably a Martin Ojeda or a Gaston Gonzalez fan, I'm sure.
Probably, right? Yeah. Joshua Tall, I agree. I believe OC can win the next 2 games. Yeah, man, we have to come out. These players, there's no one single player in the world that goes to a soccer pitch that is in the career of football, career of soccer. Hey, by the way, today, I think it's my time to lose today. Hold on. I think I'm losing today. I do want to let everyone know I'm losing, by the way, today. No one goes with that. Everybody wants to, it's just, what happens within the game. You're playing a team that's definitely in a different level. You may be having someone marking you that it's someone that it's bigger and stronger and looks faster than you. Hello to Angulo against Nashville. I mean, he was a win back and he was completely overpowered in that position. So those are things that mentally they have to overcome game by game, and it's a long season. And I have full faith that they'll be able to overcome it. Uh, let's see. I don't. We don't have any more comments. Anything else you want to add before we go, John?
No, I think I just excited for a home game and a potential. I feel the hype like I kind of felt before the Charlotte game, where it's like this is a game where I want to see us get 2 or 3 goals and really open up and be super aggressive and attacking. And I just hope that we don't make those same mistakes that we did against Charlotte, right? Like we were all over them and they just had a couple counterattacks and they win that game 2-1. So I want to see the similar level of attacking performance without those few mistakes. And I think they have it in them. And 6 points over these next 2 games would really kick us off for the next part of the season and just push us forward. So, and I also want to, get that home win. I think that's so important. And,
I think the fans deserve it. The fans deserve it.
I want to feel that, I want to see a goal at home and everybody go crazy and having fun and then the final whistle and the players getting to enjoy that. Like we said, I think that's really what's missing this season is the positive vibes at home. So bring home 3 points and then let's go again against LA.
I want to see that same resilience they show in every away game. I want to see it in the next 2 games. It is vital for them to have that same resilience, and every single player. And they know they're not. They read everything before, right? They see everything. They know that they owe the fan some excitement at home, and I believe that this is a turning point right here. But they also need the supporter too. So they need the supporter there to be rallying them up, right? Dressed in purple, ready to go. And I sure no doubt we have the best fan base in the world. It's just that, they need to show that same resilience, that same intensity that they find a way, especially defensively, mimic that at home. And we're playing against, and I'm going to put the standings real quick before we go. We're playing against teams that they are not doing so great compared to us. So we'll look at the standings. Orlando 7, right? And then you got DC United right there. Like if DC United beat us at home, we breathe life into their lungs. Pretty much. We revive a corpse. We give them the right a sensu bean to DC United.
Like if we get this winning against DC and then another winning against LA, then we're 5-2-2 on record, right? So then it's arguably a very good start to the season. You got 5. You really lost twice. You got 5 wins and 2 draws. So this, like we said, is so vital that we come out of these 2 home games in the right direction. We don't want to be coming out of these 2 home games with 2 losses. That is a real nightmare scenario that I don't think will happen, but could happen. And then it's a different conversation after those 2 games, right? Whereas if we win the 2, then everything is peachy. So very crucial couple games.
And then you're playing against DC LA Galaxy, a team that it's 13, like second to last, right, in the West.
And most importantly, winless.
Winless.
They haven't won a game.
And look at the goals against, -7. So this is a huge opportunity for Orlando to show their firepower here. And against the 5-time MLS champion, look at the stats. Like they're giving Orlando winning probability 48-24 already. So, and they come from losing against El Tráfico, right? And by being plumbered by Houston Dynamo. But so who's their back line?
It's Jalen Neal. It's really the only
yeah,
best guy on
Mavinga.
there. Yeah, But
Yeah.
the thing is, they're not like
Yeah, they're
not that bad a team on paper, really. Like we said, like similar to us. Like if we were underperforming, someone would say, "Look, this team should not be doing this badly." I think that's the same with LA right here. Like any team that's got Ricky Puig and I can never say his name right, and Chicharito in should not be doing this badly.
yeah, Ricky Puig. Yeah, Ricky Puig. Ricky Puig. In my opinion, he's gonna try to look for a penalty. Guys, you gotta watch out. And he's gonna talk. He's gonna talk because that's what he does. That's why he got kicked out of Barcelona. He talks a lot. Same with Chicharito. He's gonna try to. Oh, I'm falling. That's what these guys are gonna result to. But that's why. And Rodriguez, Uruguayan. I don't know why this guy still plays the sport. I mean, this dude should have retired like a long time ago. That's just my opinion. But you're talking about this is two teams that we can certainly give all 25,000 Orlando City fans that hopefully are in attendance for those two games a nice couple of wins and then situate us in the table in a really good position. And then this whole, we can unite as a team, right? As a fan base and just, look forward to what's coming next after that, right? So let's see. GoldTube TV says DC Pedorro team. OC Lions gonna take a bite out of them. 3 points. Stay at home. There you go. Says Joshua Tall. And if we win, we could possibly go to close to fourth. Yeah. And then what are people gonna say? Oh, we're fourth, but I don't like how. Wait, let me wait here. I don't know what to write on my Twitter. Oh my God. No. Well, there's nothing to analyze. If Orlando wins 6 out of 6, I think we're gonna hear that silence. That's just my opinion. I don't know. Sorry to laugh, but I just think it's hilarious. It's just gonna be a little funny to me. Like if Orlando wins 3 games, like 1 away, 2 at home. And I think it's gonna be great for the city, and it's gonna give just a breath of fresh air, right? Of what's to come. So before we go, anything else you want to add? Oh, Orlando Pride. They unfortunately lost. Tough loss. Last 10 minutes of the game against Gotham. Gotham, honestly, I expected more out of Gotham, and they really didn't do much the whole game. It was all Orlando. They just couldn't capitalize on their chances. And then the last 10 minutes, there was a controversial penalty. In my opinion, that penalty, maybe if they took so long to revise it on VAR, that means that it was inconclusive. So why the hell do you revise it so much? So after a bad VAR call, in my opinion, Gotham scored off a penalty. And then unfortunately, because these are young players, they kind of stumbled upon, especially the back line. They didn't see Lynn Williams coming through the flanks, and she just pummeled and scored a 2-1, turning around in the last 10 minutes. Gotham won at home in front of 5,000 fans, right? And on to the next one. You know what I mean? On to the next one. They got North Carolina Courage coming up next on Wednesday. If you have nothing to do on a Wednesday night and you want to definitely have a great time, go see the Pride. Support the Pride. They definitely need your support. They're a fantastic group of athletes, and we should have them very soon here at LPO. Hopefully, we'll be working on that, and we also will have an announcement in the next few days regarding a guest that's going to be with us soon. So we're definitely excited to, not to say it just yet, but it will be on our social media. Anything else you want to add, John?
No, just excited for DC and at 3 points at home. Get that W.
Yep. Well, I want to tell everybody, stay safe. We'll see you guys on the weekend. And vamos Orlando. Take care, guys.
Vamos Orlando.
Have a wonderful day.